And there's a cannon, so maybe that Lucian pick will be coming in.
It's the first time that Peekaboo has seen this support cannon in a competitive game, and Gorilla going to lock it in, and we saw in the match point 3-0 on this champion. It does suggest the likes of Illusion, of course Callista not available, we saw the Callista cannon in the previous series. Expecting lane bullies, so we might see Arrow adjust accordingly.
Still, this Sivir would be a very passive choice for KT, wouldn't it?
Also a terrible pick into Lucian, especially with the nerfs on 5.5, but maybe they try and play for it anyway. They could just go for an all-in backline threat. With the Fizz on the table, they know that the 5v5 likely from Ku is not going to be that strong, so maybe they change out their strategy, try and play for a very team fight-centric composition, which is not how they've won a game this series. They went with split push comps the last 2 games.
They do cement these 2 picks, the Maokai and Sivir. It'll be team fighting and team fighting only because we're expecting the likes of a Diana with the last pick, especially if that's locked in. We're talking about 4 melee champions and a short-range AD carry in Sivir. So they've already picked a Fizz, they've already gone for Cannon, definitely a laning AD carry. Where will Ku go from here? I mean, the Victor would not be a surprise, but what does Prey have for us from AD carry?
Well, I like the Vayne better than the Twitch.
Well, the Twitch...
It is Prey.
It is Prey.
It is Prey.
But if it comes through, they will have a strong pick composition, but really hard time escaping what KT can throw at that Twitch. So the Lucian is probably what we're going to see.
It's also an awful laning phase against the Sivir. There's so much wave clear, and Twitch is just saying, please, let me get the hell out of here with the Blade of the Ruin King and not lose my turret. So I think it'll be a risk too far.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, they are going to switch it back over to the Vayne. All right, but the Victor is good for Kuro. Put him on that comfort pick. Again, their season is on the line this game.
The Vayne at least has Cannon ult for Peel, got Victor W for Peel. There's a lot of zones that can be created, and of course Gragas, one of the kings of disengage as well. So the potential for the Vayne to be pretty safe in fights, and they have that Victor for wave clear. So wave clear very Victor-centric, but otherwise solid team fighting team comp from Ku.
Yeah, I like what they put together here. That Fizz is all of a sudden much more useful in a 5v5 with the combination of the Kennen and the Gragas. Also have the gravity field, so Smeb's going to have a lot of freedom in these fights. Now, do KT go for the Ahri? Now, we've seen that matchup work out very well, and Nagne has long been an Ahri player.
That's why we were wondering about this last game. I mean, it is one of his comfort picks. It is one of his best champions.
Long been on the back burner.
Yeah.
Definitely not been a big pick for him this season, but as the seconds tick down.
Well, there we go. It's going to be Ahri, and talk about your comfort picks. I mean, and yeah, even though Ahri hasn't been super popular in Korea lately, if you think back throughout Nagne's career, you know, he made a name for himself early on with Gragas, but after that, it was a lot of Ahri that people really knew him for.
Yeah, he's a pretty versatile player, so he shouldn't have any issues. And this is just all in from KT. Everyone is just assaulting the back line from the Ku Tigers. It's going to be up to Gorilla and Hochin to really place their ults well, because that's what they've got to save these very squishy carries.
And Smeb's got the Fizz versus Maokai matchup. Marin, of course, flourished in this matchup multiple times. It's been Sid as a hard counter. Last few times we've seen it, the Fizz has struggled. But for once, Smeb has the 1v1 lane advantage. So how will KT play around the fact that we expect Fizz to really run wild over this Maokai?
Man, this is going to be an action-packed game. I predict.
Safe prediction.
Right. Good.
Given how this series is shaped up, it's hard to argue with you, Doa.
Yeah. So Ku Tigers, we've seen how good their shot calling can be. Now that they've got a team that can team fight into the late game, will that push them over to the edge? You know, will that send them to the blind pick game 5? The game is loading up, guys. The season on the line right now for the Ku Tigers. KT Rolster, a win here will send them to the grand finals to face SK Telecom. A win from Ku will send us a blind pick. Which is it going to be? Let's get in the game and find out. And welcome for what could be the final game of the night between KT Rolster and the Ku Tigers. KT on match point. Ku Tigers desperate to tie things up and save their season. And they've got a good comp to do it with.
Well, all is not lost for Ku. If they do, in fact, bow out here before the finals, The onus is still on KT to win, or else KU will just go to Worlds anyway. So they do have a lot of cushion.
That's true.
KU's unlikely run over Najin and CJ gives them this effective double chance to get a guaranteed seed into Worlds. So
Yeah.
very much be praying for the Telecom War to be won by SKT.
So just to be clear, if KT goes to the finals, KU goes to Worlds based on points? Is
If
that
they
right?
lose the finals.
If KT loses the finals,
yes,
okay, yeah.
they will be Korea's
see.
number 2
That's why it's
seed.
the double chance.
Okay.
They either win this series or SKT wins the finals to get through.
Just wanted to make sure. I mean, I looked at the numbers earlier, but really I should not be allowed within like 100 yards of numbers. It just doesn't go well.
He's actually like a vampire with numbers. I can just write some on a paper and he hisses and runs away.
That's right. Someone like holds up their calculates homework in front of me, like I like hide. Yep. I need to sleep in a coffin filled with art supplies to stay safe, you know, if I'm traveling internationally.
How do you operate a phone?
Huh?
How do you operate a phone?
With,
Text only.
With, favorites and with a speed dial.
Siri helps you out.
Oh, really? Well, I don't have an iPhone, though. Uh-oh. I just use voice commands. Like, phone, call my foes and tell them I'm coming for them. That's what I often do. Well, should be a quiet early game until things get rolling as we see Nagne and Kuro in the mid lane. And I'm really curious to see how Kuro's going to do on this Ahri. We talked a lot about it in picks and bans, but this really is an exciting pick if you're a Nagne fan. He's had a lot of great games on this champion.
It's his 3rd most played champion of all time.
Peekaboo, here we go. Kuro, gotta watch out. Peekaboo coming early. Will they get the stun? Doesn't look like, barely dodging that charm, or outrunning it, I guess you could say. Had to use that cleanse, though.
He was 1 creep away from level 2, so there was that level 2 ping. That was the charm. So drawing out a summoner. Successful roam from Peekaboo.
Unlikely to need that cleanse, though, before it comes back up on that shorter cooldown. So
could have been worse.
Yeah, I think cleansing the slow there, definitely a good idea. You have the Q shield on you already, so you'll be pretty safe. Nice move, though, from Peekaboo and his typical level 1 ganking, and now he's going to be very annoying here at the red buff, and ping's coming down. Looks like Score wants to join the fun.
Yeah, he's going to come a little bit late to the party. Peekaboo really going all in. Smeb and Hojin chasing him down a little bit. Smeb's got to be careful.
Yeah, they have to get back. Ahri was moving towards that side. Someday also here. So wise of the KU Tigers just to take the objective and back out. It's like KT still wants to go in.
Wow, really being aggressive in this enemy jungle here. It is important to note that Hojin's win rate on this Gragas is not the greatest. Only 40% coming into this game.
The reason why we see so much aggression from KT is that, of course, KU are playing around the weak side of the map. Vayne is solo farming up the top lane. KT had more resources to be able to allocate towards the red side jungle, and that's why they're going to look for a dragon. This is a super early dragon. We thought maybe only Elise could pull off such creative dragons, but with so many members present, Maokai still not entering lane. Should be a 4.5-minute dragon for the KT Rolster.
That is so good for them, especially when we consider that this composition has such high pick potential that as long as they start stacking these dragons and maintaining supremacy, they will be able to isolate Vayne or Fizz or Victor should they try and approach this dragon in a dangerous fashion. Peekaboo's back.
Yeah, he's coming in again. Kuro with no cleanse this time around, but doesn't end up needing to use that flash. Peekaboo has been so aggressive, man. He's still level 2. I guess Gorilla is too, but a lot of roaming early on. Unsurprisingly, I guess, from Peekaboo.
The lane been expertly frozen by Prey. Picking up solo experience, probably the big factor is that he's going to hit level 6 fast. If Prey can just stay in this frozen top lane, pick up a Blade of the Ruined King, then swap back, obviously going to be in a very favorable 1v1 position compared to the Sivir.
Absolutely, and that dragon also delays a little bit of experience onto Someday, so they prioritize the early objective control over actually getting Someday ahead. He does catch up now with level 3, and certainly Fizz having a little bit of a tough time on that bottom side, all by his lonesome, making a CS advantage.
Hard to lane against the Sivir and not take a lot of trade damage early on anyway, before you start to be able to blow up the Sivir anyway.
Seeing Peekaboo, he's been freed. Lane swap was actually forced by KU this time, choosing to send Vayne into the 1v0, now 1v1 matchup in the top lane.
Yeah. And Gorilla is really this lurking threat on this Kennen too. He's so good about knowing when to go in on the slicing Maelstrom, whether it's in lane, whether it's in a team fight. Peekaboo going for some more deep wards.
Been pinged out, but don't really have the charges on this side of the map to do anything about it.
Wow, Smeb, ouch.
Well,
oh man, that's a lot of damage onto Smeb.
Has to back out. And remember that Arrow, even in this nerf state, we are on 515, so that hit to Sivir's ultimate is pretty severe. It really means that you have to get together as a team early to properly use Sivir's ultimate. There's no more, hey, this straggler is going to get full speed as they come into range. So more difficult to pull off.
Okay, interesting. Hojin coming in. Shield thrown up by Peekaboo. Arrow taking a decent amount of damage. Smeb back under the turret. Flash is used. Peekaboo is going to flash after him. That is aggressive. Takes a turret shot. Arrow, can he get the first blood? He can. Turret will finish him off, though. There's a kill going over to Smeb. So how do you rate that? First blood goes to the AD carry, but the top Fizz picks up a kill as well.
He's going to be the first one to rotate. That was pretty peculiar.
It was aggressive. I mean, we know Peekaboo is, I would label him probably the most bloodthirsty support in Korea right now. There's a good example.
It's tough to call there. Of course, kill and assist for both sides, but that first blood goal does give a slight advantage to KT Rolster. However, powering up the Fizz causes a lot of problems for KT.
Remember, the Fizz was super low and under turret. They were keeping a great leash on that champion, giving him the kill goal, giving him the chance to push out the wave as well. He should never have had any semblance of wave control against a Sivir, so he's kind of been granted an early snowball sheen.
Yeah, and who are you more worried about? Kills on a Fizz or kills on a Sivir early on? And I think the answer is pretty obviously Fizz, so we'll see if KT ends up paying for that a little bit later.
Well, at the very least, the BF Sword for Arrow will help with the wave clear and getting some more turret damage down. So if, when the dust settles in a couple of minutes, we do see that tower going down faster, as a result, perhaps there is some value to that.
A lot of damage on the Nagne there. Wow, he's going all in. Chaos Storm drop. Nagne still has that flash and his ultimate to get away. Oh, Kuro chasing too deep. Score comes in with the knockup. Kuro still gets the kill on the Nagne. But Score able to answer. I mean, I guess if you're going to get caught out by going a little bit too far, at least you might as well get the kill, right?
Well, Nagne thought he could outplay Kuro right there, it didn't work out. He held his Spirit Rush for a super long time because he wanted to bait Kuro forward because Score was in the Raptor pit. Little bit of a miscalculation right there. Didn't actually end up using his flash.
Well, KT's going to end up getting the tier 1 down in bot lane off of that as well, too.
This is what they want, and Vayne and Kennen matching in the top side. Someday now returning to lane.
Notably, Vayne still hasn't shopped. Prey's not in any rush to swap back because, of course, the Dragon hasn't been on the table since very early in this game. Don't know if they have enough gold for this straight-up Blade of the Ruin King. That's the item timing that would really justify a swap back for Vayne.
Well, they end up trading turrets. And looks like Prey doesn't have quite enough for that Blade of the Ruin King just yet.
Yeah, grabbing the red buff, so slight advantage here to KT. They also, because they got the bottom turret down, that's definitely the superior tower to grab right before the dragon is going to spawn. And man, Blade just not quite done yet. Or Prey.
The difference between the parts of a Blade and the completed recipe, specifically the solo kill pressure onto Arrow.
Definitely. Oh, they're right there. A pick attempted by KT, but they're going to end up taking a lot of damage in return. Charm onto Gorilla, though.
Gorilla still doesn't have 6.
Yeah, and that's going to make it very hard for Ku to contest this dragon. Peekaboo doesn't have 6 either, but you really do need that secondary engage from the slicing Maelstrom on Kennen. Maybe.
Here we go, TP coming in from Maokai.
That's right, KT trying to teleport in behind the other members of Ku. Can it work out? Prey gets exhausted, gets in trouble, thrown against the wall. Score doing a little bit of damage, but now they're going to turn it around. Prey with a kill onto Sivir there. Score, whoa, the double kill. Now for Prey, there's the slicing Maelstrom. Gorilla held it for so long, and Ku looks like they're going to win this fight. Ari coming down, but can Nagne do anything? Looks like he's a bit late to the party. A double kill for Gorilla, and that is nearly an ace. They trade Prey for 4 members of KT.
It is insane how well Prey played that fight. He kept tumbling forwards away from the Maokai. Honestly, Someday was a little bit late on his flash. Probably could have secured that kill earlier, but it's a heavy price to pay because it's going to be the answering dragon and plenty of kills over to Ku.
And that's where we see the effect of the Sivir ult nerf, because you can't mistime your engage at that moment, because the speed buff, if you come in late, just isn't there, because look how early this is popped. Gorilla and Prey already doing work.
Just
and
watch
Someday
Prey.
so slow on the
He never
flank.
chose to flash. He could have flashed onto Prey. They would have picked the kill up earlier. It probably would have been a better choice of trade for the KT.
Gorilla also got 6 in the middle of that team fight for the Slicing Maelstrom. Peekaboo's roaming has meant that he actually is a couple levels down, and a very important team fight won by the Ku Tigers. They'll equalize Dragons off of it too.
The last thing you really need is for this Kennen to get a couple extra items and be, a little bit more tanky when he comes in too.
And the crazy thing for the Sivir nerf is, okay, the speed is nerf, but the duration nerf means that if you show up late, you're only getting maybe a second's worth of speed up. So it was elapsing so early that, again, almost a non-factor. So you're going to need to be smarter around that particular cooldown if you're out. It's not press R and win like it was before. The windows of counterplay are certainly there.
Well, there's a reason we haven't seen Sivir picked a lot since the nerf, and I think we're already seeing a little bit of a reason why.
I mean, the surprising thing was that she was kind of falling off invariably. We weren't seeing a lot of Sivir even on patch 5.14. Now with the more heavy-handed nerf, it's just the upside. It's kind of like when Sejuani was in the meta and then she really wasn't. It feels like we're pretty much in the same situation with Sivir.
Oh yeah, I mean, people were figuring out how to go all in onto Sivirs, and that was reducing the amount of picks, but now I don't know if she's so great anymore.
And now Sivir's looking to enter a lane against a Blade the Ruined King Vayne with just the parts of Infinity Edge. That's optimistic if you're Arrow, and that's why he kind of has to just group with his team or wait for Vayne to push out in the top lane.
Some very finite edges for Arrow right now. Nothing infinite about the damage coming out of that Sivir.
No, not quite yet, and he did go for the Avarice Blade second, so he's got to keep farming this one up, but he just can't go for that red buff right now. Prey and Gorilla have that camp on lockdown with the lane pressure and the wards they've managed to get in. KT, they're falling further and further behind. It's still only 1,500 gold, so it's not the end of the world for them yet.
Well, they're going to steal the red buff as Kuro just forces back Nagne.
Let's just, take the temperature of what's happening here. Sivir can't enter lane against Vayne. Fizz versus Maokai, we know about that matchup, and Fizz getting closer and closer to a big power spike. For now, it's pretty muted, but we know the direction it's going to go as Nagne. He knows exactly what's coming.
Yep. Charm thrown in there.
Nice.
Gorilla actually getting nearly taken out, but Kuro able to get a lot of chip damage done to that turret.
And that's the final point, is that Victor's had lane control over the Ahri the whole time. Got a kill in a 1v2. Has basically been bossing around the Ahri, even though he's a few CS behind. Ku are winning 3 lanes. They've just had multiple games in a row where they've been dictated to. Finally, they have the advantage in the early game, and it's unleashed Gorilla. And we know what he can do with his flank engages on Ken.
Those tower dives that we saw in the last series that Ku played were very impressive. KT going to answer, though, with a lot of turret damage during the blue transfer.
Unbreakable actually cancels the wave clear, so they get a little bit of extra damage, but not quite enough to take it down.
Nice timing, though.
Oh, very low. Oh, Arrow may get caught here, but Prey needs to be careful. Peekaboo is on the scene as well. They're going to pop that Sivir ult, actually. Prey gets exhausted, tumbles back in, uses the ult. He is invisible. Here comes Gorilla. Gorilla comes in with the slicing Maelstrom after the flash, and they keep Prey alive. Meanwhile, Ari, Nagne, actually able to get a kill onto Hojin, and Ku needs to get out of there. Flash from Arrow, more damage onto Kuro. Nice charm, and that's a double for Nagne now.
Hello.
Score coming in. Goodbye, Prey, as Score picks up a kill of his own as they go 3 for 0 in that fight.
Now, the reason why that was able to happen is because Prey didn't have his summoners up. He had his heal, but not his flash. And so that matchup that looked so poor was able to be evened out, but Nagne making the play onto Hojin on the backside meant that they cut off the reinforcements.
Well, Smeb's going to try to come in to save this turret, but Score's right there. He's going to ult someday, get very low, get the kill. They're going to trade top laners, but Gorilla may not be able to save this turret. Turret damage, not enough to kill Score. And KT with another couple, a 1 for 2 there, and they nearly take down that top lane turret. In fact, they'll get it with minions.
This was all started by Prey making an aggressive move in the enemy jungle. They were always going to get rotated to first.
Wow, Nagne really making a big difference by taking out Hojin early on, and Gorilla a little bit late. Prey takes a lot of damage. And
this is the power of Braum right here. They force the cleanse immediately after the stun, and it's so easy just to flash charm after that. Prey, no more summoners left. Someday came in, didn't even have to use teleport to set that up.
Yep. Now we've got a 2-1-1 Ahri. Now she's starting to get a little bit scary. Has the Abyssal Staff. Abyssal Scepter rather, has the needlessly large rod. And that's getting to be a decent amount of damage.
Yeah. Suddenly, the item timing's advantage swings.
Hojin, oh, gets caught again. Gets charmed, takes a lot. But Nagne not quite with the vision to complete that 1v1. A little bit too dangerous as Kuro pushes up the mid lane.
Infinity Edge is complete. Needlessly large rod on top of Abyssal Scepter. Now Someday has his team fighting core. A lot of items granted by a big misfire, specifically from Prey, starting off the chain of events, which brings KT right back into this game.
Well, Prey's been really good this series, but just a bit too overeager in that last fight. Going after Arrow, and certainly cost the Coup Tigers a lot.
Someday throwing his saplings at the ground in frustration while he waits for the minion wave there. Has to be careful. 2-1-4. Smeb still has the chance to win this game for his team. I mean, in spite of all of those kills, it's still a 1K gold difference. This is completely up in the air.
Well, yeah, I mean, KT only 1 kill ahead right now. And if there's anything we've seen through this series, is that Coup has no trouble at all playing from behind and making the most unlikely games competitive.
They have the damage, too, in the late game to make it work. If their shot calling is on point, they have an extraordinarily fast Baron with this composition.
Yeah, much better equipped this game than they were last game to have a comeback like that.
Trinity Force finally completed by Smeb, going to help him reach that ascendancy in the 1v1 against Maokai. Teleport's available. Will this next Dragon fight be as cataclysmic as some of the ones we've already seen this series?
Definitely could be. Each team with 1 dragon so far.
Control so in the hands of KT. They got the pinks up. Hojin has to almost face check to get any pressure.
Teleport coming in. Gorilla coming in, engaging as well, possibly. Dragon getting very low. Can they stop him? They have to do it now. Dragon does go to KT. They're going to try to win the fight. There's the ult on the score. A couple people get knocked up. Hojin comes in. Big explosion. Oh, man, right into the cannon ult. Coup, they need more though. They got 1 kill. Someday going in for another one onto Smeb. Smeb actually takes out Arrow. Score very low. Double kill now for Smeb. And Coup just going crazy here. KT got the dragon, but Coup answers with 3 kills. And now, can they get any objectives out of this?
The minion waves aren't really in the spot to do it, so Doa. We just saw Nagne push in the mid lane, so Victor's going to go back and wave. They'll take a bot lane outer turret, but they needed the multiple kills to justify the big investment in this fight.
The Hojin Gorilla synergy. Check this out. Explosive cast into the slicing Hellstrom.
Oh.
Beautiful. Beautiful stuff.
Well, we didn't get to see the start of this fight, but that was really crucial because KT knew what was going on. The initial TP was set up so that we could see actually a flank by Hojin for an ultimate into Smeb and Gorilla on the other flank. However, Nagne did a great job of zoning Hojin out with his charm so he couldn't set it up. Now they still end up finding it thanks to a nice flash from Hojin.
Crucially, though, they don't pick up any objectives. They don't even take out that outer bottom lane turret. They do get to go shop, pick up a couple, bit more items. There's a lot of standing gold on the map if you're a Coup Tigers fan. They're 200 gold ahead. It's been a seesaw on gold. It's still very, very close. They really need to start picking up those objectives when they can.
I'd be worried if I was KT, though, because if Coup can do that well against you from behind, what do you think they can do when they're even?
And especially Smeb, who is 4-1-5 on a Fizz, and you have to somehow counteract this split push with a Maokai who needs both armor and MR, and he went for the glory. That's just not going to help him out.
He's going for team fighting, hoping that Fizz would be neutralized or just slowly farming up, but when you snowball, Yeah, the results can be devastating. The moment that teleports back up.
Oops. Oh, boy. They meant for Hojin to tank that turret for a second, but Kuro didn't quite lose the aggro. He's going to have to go back.
It's very impactful, actually, because now the wave clear is in the mid lane in the form of the Sivir.
And
so that could delay this turret by several minutes.
And that's literally all the wave clear for the Ku Tigers as well. Victor is the sole wave clear member, apart for some barrels coming through from Hojin. So
We've got a little bit from Playful Trickster with Smeb, but he's got to be careful when he uses it since it leaves him so vulnerable.
He's not maxing that ability, of course. When you're this AD Fizz, you're putting points into W, sometimes even Qs. So with only just a couple of points in E, the base damage is not quite there. And as you mentioned, the risk, the windows to play around are that much bigger for the enemy team.
Interesting that we see the Hourglass as a second item onto Nagne. Very defensive Ahri build in this game, but I think it is justified because you're basically just trying to survive Fizz and Victor burst. So you have some time to reposition yourself. Gorilla and Prey now forcing their way down the lane, but Peekaboo comes to join there on the bottom side.
I guess the question we still have to raise, Monty, is that a luxury you can afford to take? Because it is a two-threat comp from KT. Okay, the ability power numbers are similar, but dropping down on the damage from Ahri, who can really fall off towards the late game, kind of a mid-range damage threat, certainly below Victor, who has gone for a very standard build. Victor, Vayne, Fizz should easily outdamage in the late game, and Nagne's already setting himself back and building utility rather than pure damage.
Kuro really wants his turret, and he will get it. Deciding to use that shield to tank it. Hojin can take a couple shots as well. And the turret was slowed down, but not for a whole lot.
Trying to set up for some surprise damage here, but Ahri going to take the long way around from the blue buff.
Dragon up in 2. Ku Tigers could really use this one.
Yes, they could, but they also would like to get that mid lane, or KT would rather probably get that mid lane tower down first if they can. Remember, they did do a lot of chip damage on it earlier. And we don't have a recall coming in yet from Victor. Nagne just sticking around with that blue buff, using the wave clear to try and match that turret kill.
Prey, for the fact that he has been in the Ascendancy 1v1 against Sivir, has first been punished for that. That was the first window back into the game for KT. And now is actually kept up in CS very healthy there. In fact, completely even in CS. So Prey not being able to exert the expected 1v1 pressure that Vayne, who gets snowballed, usually has against the Sivir.
He's going to get his pink ward taken out immediately as well, which hurts a bit. Smeb split pushing in the top lane, Dragon up in 1 minute.
Yeah, Ku just wants to drag this out and have Smeb take that turret advantage. They know that someday, with his current itemization, is built to fight around the Dragon. So KT needs to be decisive here when it comes to going there.
Sivir, they're going in onto Gorilla and Hojin, but Hojin and Gorilla getting away nice slow. And that Sivir ult is not going to get KT anything, not even a summoner.
Has a level 2 ult, but it's still not quite as fast as it used to be on this patch.
Yeah.
Gragas didn't even have to ult defensively. Maybe we'll see a repeat of the Gragas ult into Gorilla's slicing Maelstrom that really won Ku the last engagement around Dragon, but crucially not the Dragon. You mentioned it before.
Gorilla on a very dangerous warding mission right now, but he'll be okay.
Got Hojin in his pocket.
That is impossible. Hojin's way too big. Recant. Recant your statement.
No.
All right. Maybe he's got one of those bags of holding I've heard so much about. Dragon up, and Ku in a great position to take it. We'll see if they can
Maokai set up.
Yeah, and like you said, KT, they want to fight around this. Score coming in from the side. Peekaboo starts the sun off on a Kuro, and Dragon taken by Ku. They tie it up 2-2, but here comes Nagne slicing Maelstrom, locks up a lot of members. Oh, they got Peekaboo and Arrow. They're trying to get away, and Prey able to help Smeb pick up that first kill. Gorilla on the outside of the fight right now. Score on his own, a double kill early on for Smeb, and Ku Tigers taking this fight handily. 3 kills for nothing. Can they catch up to Nagne? And someday here, Smeb's gonna try, throws the fish in there. Goodbye, Nagne. And that is 4 kills and maybe a Baron coming in for the Ku Tigers.
And the Ku Tigers team fighting strengths were on full display in that particular fight. When we see the replay, Prey once again, he makes me a believer on the Vayne. This is not traditionally one of Prey's strongest champions, but his positioning has been off the chain.
Well, remember that in game 1 of this series, Ku KT banned Vayne. And this was very surprising because it's never been his champion.
So
Here's
remember,
why.
the teleport is very offensive from Fizz. So just watch Prey kite up after the start of this fight to his Fizz, and specifically flashed very early and freely fighting against 3 members off your screen. Prey's ability to do damage was really impressive, and Ku forced KT to retreat into the oncoming Fizz.
Gorilla's such a hero on this Kennen as well, too. Man, by Nagne. I'm surprised that his ult was still up.
They didn't need it. He was just occupying the
Guess so.
backline without the ultimate. Even had the flexibility to use it there, and that's what secured them Baron, holding onto that cooldown.
Yeah, that was, I mean, and Ku got exactly the fight they wanted. They were able to get the Kennen ult onto Arrow. Arrow was stunned instantaneously. There wasn't really much of anything he could do, and I just don't think that the Sivir pick is really that viable any longer. I'm surprised to see KT go for it.
I don't think we're going to see it again.
I mean, this is Arrow, who spent most of the season playing only Sivir, specifically at the start of the season, has an excellent 11 KDA on it, but we're really feeling the impact of the nerfs in this game.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a couple situations now, as we see the Banner of Command picked up for the Ku Tigers. We've seen plenty of situations now where a Sivir ult, an old Sivir ult, would have probably resulted in some kills for KT, but it's just not effective enough anymore.
You can understand the priority for Sivir. Flat movement speed is something that's so hard to itemize for such a massive team fight utility ultimate, but it's found wanting here.
Yeah. Ooh, Smeb, very scary, forcing KT back and allowing Ku to push ahead with this Baron buff. They're going to go for this mid lane tier 2. They still need to be a little bit wary of the flank.
Gorilla has a banner, and I don't see where the bannered minion is right now.
It's bot lane. We saw him do it a little bit earlier, yeah. So it is in the bot lane, pushing up. Ku manages to take out the tier 2 in mid in the meantime.
I know I'm looking ahead, but this blind pick game, if we get it, is gonna be amazing.
It's looking pretty likely, because when we've seen Ku get ahead in this series, they haven't lost the lead. And when we see KT get ahead, Ku has still found ways to come back, even in the most unlikely situations. So it's hard to imagine KT winning this game at this point. I know you can't count him out, but if the first 3 games are any indication, I think we're going to blind pick.
I think it's hard to argue with that right now. Nagne will have to back off. He is chunked out, and in spite of the relatively poor siege from the Ku Tigers, they just
ban it up minion.
Yeah,
Yep.
Look at, and we talk about that too. They pushed through the mid lane, and then they had set up the side wave perfectly with the bannered minion to arrive just as it hits the inhibitor turret. Just flawless map rotations from Ku on the siege.
Ku Tigers team is looking pretty impressive. 2 bannered minions now in the base, tearing apart the inhibitor as Smeb causes trouble on the side, and that's a bottom inhibitor down, and that is not the inhibitor you want to lose if you are KT and you want to win this game.
The crazy thing is they were sitting on approximately 8,000 gold, so it would have been, the gold lead was basically gone. It was even gold game given the items, the amount of gold in the purse of this team. It didn't matter.
Yeah, well, with the Baron buff and with the Banner of Command minions, they had the power.
It's ridiculous how much gold they have unspent at this point. They need to spend it before the dragon spawns in a minute and a half.
Well, I'm sure that's what they're going to go do right now. Yep, recalls coming in across the board from the Ku Tigers. Smeb preparing the Baron pit. Not recalling just yet. There we go. He's got the teleport anyway. No, he doesn't, but he should have it by the time Baron comes up.
About 15 seconds.
Yeah, it should be okay.
Interesting. Gorilla itemizing for a needlessly large Ross.
Yes! Zonia's incoming. Oh yeah.
Even
he
Rylai's
is
would be
bloodthirsty.
fine. I was always a fan of Rylai's rush cannon just because he could sit in a fight, and before there was enough bolts to stun everyone up, it was actually more reliable CC than necessarily itemizing towards a QSS. But you're right, it's probably going to be a Zonia's. Let's be real here.
See it. I mean, it just give him one more level of survivability, one more way to stay in and do more damage with that slicing Maelstrom. Ku Tigers having a lot of position over Baron, and they can just run down and grab that dragon if they want to as well. KT got some wards.
The most surprising thing about this game is that KT had the answering pick in every situation. Fizz was the first pick, KT chose Maokai for team comp. Victor was an early pick, Ahri is the mid lane counter matchup. Sivir also being opted for. The answers from KT have definitely been found wanted. They've played for the late game team fights. They've played for fights that just they can't get after the laning phase went so well for KOO Tigers.
Yeah, and did you expect the laning phase really to go differently right here? Because KT, they picked unfavorable matchups. That's the reality of this situation. Of course, Ahri does have the kill pressure post 6, but we've seen how well this Fizz can do against the Maokai.
3 dragons now.
You're picking based on the KOO Tigers' reputation, if you ask me here, KT. You look at the KOO Tigers, they're known for lanes that fall behind. They're known for passive laning phases. Specifically with Wisdom, they weren't really a team that looked like they could overtake the mid game until very recently. So it is a surprise, but as you mentioned, it's very brazen to pick effectively 3 losing lanes and be surprised that you're probably going to lose the game.
Well, speaking of losing the game, there goes the tier 2. Smeb throws a fish in onto Nagne. Can he blow him up? Zonia's is going to prevent it for the moment anyway. Hojin takes some fair damage. Here comes Gorilla with that slicing Maelstrom. He does get slowed up just a bit. KOO not getting all the kills they normally get, but they force so many members of KT away. Gotta wonder if that's going to be another inhibitor. They don't need to really push it, though.
They can't actually really push because they have no more ultimates. That was actually a very poor engage by KOO. They tried to all in, but with Nagne having that Zonia's Hourglass, they wasted quite a lot, and Gorilla couldn't get it deep.
That's a little bit dangerous. Gorilla still with low health. Smeb doing a lot of damage to Someday. Wow, he's going to go into the playful Trickster. That was not wise. Smeb's going to get taken out. KT could turn this one around big time, even though they did lose that inhibitor turret. Kuro needs to be so careful here. Nagne coming from the side. That's right. Teleport could come in as well. And it looks like KOO may escape. Yep, wow. Close call there.
KOO really playing with fire. That was really overbold. Your Chaos Storm is down, your Slicing Maelstrom is down, your Final Hour is down, your Explosive Cask is down.
You can't do that.
You cannot dive that turret.
You can't do that because this is your season on the line. Even if you are still likely to go to Worlds, you know, it's still, you don't want to throw away a chance at the finals by being a little bit overeager.
It's worth knowing that basically all 10 combat ultimates were down, so maybe they just thought they couldn't really be punished. They just take the turret and get out. But I agree with Monty in that it's over risky in a situation where you have effectively complete control of a game.
Yeah, Baron spawning while the bottom inhibitor is still down. There's no need to try and dive when you can just create that pressure. Now they don't have TP either.
Whoa, Prey gets away with one there, getting hit with the charm as he comes in to try to go after that ward. Who's going to be forced back? KT does have some nice wards around Baron right now.
They don't have a flank ward for Maokai, though, who kind of needs to teleport early because he's got no good spots.
Got a semi-flanking ward. Smeb's going to try to push Score away. Score wants to be a hero. Damage onto KT. There's the zoning with the gravity field. They're going to throw the fish onto Score. Smeb going in. Pickaboo very low as well, too. Throws that Braum ultimate to slow things down. Final Hour used by Prey. Goes in. That Slicing Maelstrom didn't really do much, but it did push KT away. KT barely survives, and Baron's still alive. Hojin taking some damage. Still a very tenuous spot right now. Who's going to go back in onto the Baron? What ultimates are up? Only the one for Maokai right now. Kuro has his Chaos Storm, though, and I think that's going to be enough. KOO should be able to get this Baron. Someday coming in anyway. Smeb getting low. Baron taken by the KOO Tigers. Someday in the middle of the fight, but he is so tanky. Nagne from the flanks. Prey gets a kill, but Nagne is all over Gorilla. At this point, Prey backs away. Arrow taking some damage, and yeah, Kuro there had that ult like we mentioned earlier. Nagne gets sapped by Gorilla. His 3rd kill of the game, and that should be about that. We'll see how much KOO gets out of it.
Kuro was really the hero of that fight because Score was trying to angle for a Baron steal behind the pit. Kuro made that not work and then looped around to finish off those kills. Because if he hadn't done that, it was a chance of a 50-50. And the cleanup was exactly what they needed on a fight that looked like it might have been tilting KT's direction.
It wasn't shown. The cameraman couldn't quite catch it, but literally walked up to that tri-bush, dropped the ultimate, one of the cooldowns he'd held onto. It was only the explosive cask and the ultimate from Kuro that were available, but instant killing the Rek'Sai removed any real Baron steal pressure from KT.
Gorilla's had such a great game as well.
4-0.
No bias.
He will be 4-0 after this game. his cannon, specifically the flanks he finds, like he's had some misfires this game, but the potential is there. This is a smart player. Unlike some of his teammates, this is a very mechanical player that's often at the top of solo queue. Some of these players have struggled in terms of solo queue, but specifically Gorilla's always been hanging around the top 5, top 10 of solo queue. So give him a more mechanically intensive champion like Kennen with some kind of a carry side. He's got the Zonias. That must make you proud, Doa.
Of course.
The Bloodthirsty is achieved.
That's right. Well, KT is 13,000 gold ahead right now. KT's gonna, or who's 13,000 gold ahead rather? Make it 14. KT's gonna need to plot a miracle.
Who are just waiting for Fizz to push up the minion wave. They can just rotate top. There's no inhibitor turret in the top lane, so.
Actually deny that banner minion. That's pretty important at this juncture to take that out with the Sivir while you still can. However, this naked inhibitor now being targeted by Ku.
Well, they've got the bottom one down already, of course. And is Braum going to come in? We'll see. There goes the inhibitor. They managed to take it out. They're going to rotate over to the mid lane now. And this could be KT's chance. They have to go for it. Smeb trying to get back in onto Arrow. Misses the fish, though. Doesn't connect with anybody. Someday a little bit low in the backlines. Here comes Gorilla now with that slicing Maelstrom. They lock up Pickaboo just a bit. A kill already onto Someday. There's a playful Trickster, but nothing playful about that. As they take out Arrow, they take out Pickaboo. Nagne on his own just trying to fight with Super Minions, and he's losing it. There goes the Nexus. We are going to a blind pick game 5.
The epic blind pick is almost upon us. The 2 pentakill Rivens. Will we see the Riven mirror match? Will we see Bronzodia? Ku have summoned some very impressive team comps so far this season, both in blind pick and outside. I'm so excited to see what both these teams put out.
Yeah, as a reminder, in the Najin game, when they went for that blind pick, it was Yasuo Braum with Malphite.
Yeah.
So they definitely pulled out something a bit unexpected.
You really can't predict Ku Tigers in this situation.
You really can't predict Ku Tigers at all. When they've picked those old Ku Tigers comps, specifically the Dragon rotations they've suffered, but when they've done something a bit different, it's looked deadly.
Yeah, victory for the Ku Tigers. We knew this one was going to be close. It is not disappointed. So when we come back, one of these two teams are going to the grand finals. Will it be the Ku Tigers? Will it be KT Rolster? The season on the line. Crucial circuit points on the line for KT. They really